Hi students, once again I am meeting you to discuss some more that is points related to immunity, that is hypersensitivity. It's nothing but overreactive immune response. Some individuals are very sensitive to certain particles present in the environment, for example the dust while cleaning the houses, even the chalk piece dust. It stimulates either coughing, sneezing, etc. That is called hypersensitivity, overreactive immune response. This is because of the immune system. So, some individuals are very sensitive to particles present in the environment. Such an exaggerated response of the immune system. This is a response of the immune system, not against the individual, simply because of the response of the immune system to an antigen. Any particle foreign to the body is called an antigen present in the environment, and this is called what is known as hypersensitivity, also called by another name allergy. This is another name. Sorry. Allergy is the another name for that one. Allo. It's derived from the word allo, that is nothing but altered. ERG, referring to the reaction as given in the book. So, it is called allergy. So, any substance that causes allergy is called an allergen. Is called an allergen. So, the substance to which an immune response produced is called an allergen. So, the responding actually substance to the immune system. So it is nothing but an antigen. Allergen is an antigen that causes immune response. We have a number of examples, either from the food or from the medicines or from the pollens or from the microorganisms, etc. So the important allergens are the mice, an arthropod present in dust, the pollen grains, the one which is highly dangerous, it is found in a beautiful flower. While we are just inhaling that one, it causes some kind of shock, anaphylactic shock. Even death also occurs while inhaling the pollen grains. The food, any substance that is not being accepted by the body. Then chemicals, some proteins the insect venom. Once you are bitten by an insect, say an example of honeybee, you can see the inflammatory reactions, nothing but the redness, swelling, etc. All are nothing but allergic reactions, otherwise called inflammatory reactions. So allergy always results in inflammatory reactions. Now, normally the allergic reaction occurs immediately within few seconds after contact with allergen and lasts for about 30 minutes or half an hour. Lasts for about 30 minutes or half an hour. We have many examples of allergy. For example, hay fever. Hay fever. Hay fever is a kind of allergy to pollen grains. To pollen grains. Normally, you know what is called, there is a sulfur rain. There is sulfur rain. There is sulfur rain. It is not referring to the actual rain. Now it is referring to what is called the spreading of the pollen grains, the yellow colored pollen grains looking like the color of the sulfur produced by the coniferous trees, for example the pines, spreading on the mountains, giving yellow color just like a sulfur. That is called sulfur rain. So sulfur rain refers to the pollen grains spreading on the mountains, released by the pines or any other coniferous trees. Now, pollen grain allergy causes hay fever. Mostly affecting, you see that one, these allergens mostly affect the respiratory system. So, hay fever is an example for just allergic reactions or hypersensitivity because of pollen grains. Another one we have, for example, just you see that one, asthma, the commonest example for allergy. This is the commonest example for allergy. That is because of inhaling pollen grains. But asthma is the most common type of allergy or hypersensitivity. It is due to allergy to dust. Allergic to dust. So when you're dusting the house, increased number of actually eosinophils occur in the blood. It causes asthma, eosinophilia, asthma, all because of what we call the dust. So dust allergy causes asthma. Hay fever is because of pollen grain allergy. These are the two best examples for hypersensitivity. Okay, so anyway, it is normally overreactive immune response. Now, what are the types of, we can say, I mentioned what are the types of allergens. We have to go through what are the symptoms related to allergy, what symptoms we can develop. All symptoms are related to the respiratory system. All symptoms are related to the respiratory system. Now, what are the antibodies involved? What are the types of involved in allergy? Let's see now. Now, what are the symptoms of hypersensitivity? It almost affects the respiratory system. 1. Sneezing, nasal discharge, watery eyes, difficulty in breathing, that is called dyspnea, painful what is called inspiration and expiration. Now it also results in inflammatory response. So redness, swelling and pain at the site where you are stung by honeybee or any other insect. So the protein in the form of venom is injected to the body that stimulates what is called the immune response, overreactive immune response, and that is called inflammatory response. As I mentioned earlier, hay fever due to pollen grains, asthma due to dust allergy are examples of allergy. Then, so what is the meaning for allergy I mentioned earlier? Allergy is an overreactive immune response mediated by one type of antibodies. Not all the antibodies are involved. We have 5 types of antibodies what we have discussed earlier. The only antibody that is associated with the hypersensitivity is IgE antibody, epsilon antibodies. So allergy is mediated by IgE antibodies, and also one type of cells in the connective tissue, what is called the mast cells. The mast cells are responsible for the release of some chemicals, the signaling molecules, say an example of histamine, serotonin, prostaglandins, even heparin also secreted by the mast cells. Okay, so the allergic reactions are mediated by IgE antibodies and also the mast cells. So the mast cells release some chemicals which are involved in allergic reactions. 1. Histamine. This is also an entrance question. Histamine is released by the mast cells. Another one, serotonin. So these two are the main chemicals released by the mast cells. They are taking part in allergic reactions. Okay, that's about the symptoms and what are the different types of components involved in allergic reactions. IgE antibodies, that is epsilon antibodies, and also the mast cells, which release the chemicals. They are signals. They are called chemical alarm signals. They are involved only in the inflammatory reactions, namely histamine and serotonin. Okay, now we'll see other aspects of hypersensitivity. What are the types of hypersensitivity? There are 2 types of hypersensitivity based on the components involved and based on the rate of reaction. 1. Antibody-mediated hypersensitivity. Here the antibodies are taking part. The reactions are taking place within a short period of time, within a fraction of seconds. So the reactions are occurring immediately. So it is an immediate hypersensitivity. Within a few seconds the reactions occur in the body, which includes type 1, type 2, type 3 hypersensitivity. Type 1, type 2, type 3 hypersensitivity. For example, anaphylaxis. This is type 1, that is what is called hypersensitivity. Ana means without, phylaxis means protection. So the concept was proposed by Richard. Now the second type, cell mediated or CMI mediated hypersensitivity. So antibody independent, here antibody dependent. In the presence of antibody, these reactions are taking place. Here, in the absence of antibody, reaction is taking place mediated by what is called only the cells. The cells involved are called TD. T cells delayed, because the reaction is taking place very slowly after some time. So it is a delayed hypersensitivity. The type 4 is included under this category. So we have 4 types, type 1, type 2, type 3 and type 4. The first 3 are antibody mediated. The last one, 4, is cell mediated. It is taking place slowly. It is taking place immediately. So after some time only it is taking place. That's why it's called delayed hypersensitivity. The cells involved are designated as T lymphocytes, delayed. Now here the cells involved in the case of antibody mediated hypersensitivity, TH cells, the helper cells, and TC cells, the cytotoxic lymphocytes. H for helper, C for cytotoxic lymphocytes. Now that's about what we have the types. And I want to give some points related to anaphylaxis. So it is the first type of hypersensitivity mediated by what is called antibody. It is a classical immediate hypersensitivity reaction. What's happening during that one? Some people are highly sensitive to certain chemicals or particles or allergens. In such cases only we have what is called anaphylaxis occurs. So we can say what's called anaphylactic shock that results in the death of the individual also. Okay, now I'll give the definition of what is anaphylaxis. One of the examples for hypersensitivity is anaphylaxis. The concept was proposed by Richard, I mentioned earlier. Ana means without, phylaxis means protection, without protection, the meaning. Now it is a classical example for immediate hypersensitivity reaction. Immediate, type 1. So what is happening when the person is overreacting to a simple antigen? It results in what is called anaphylaxis. So it is a sudden, severe, systemic. Systemic means affecting the whole body. Immediate hypersensitivity occurring as a result of rapid generalized, generalized means almost, mast cell degranulations. When most of the mast cells are actually destroyed and release mediators, namely histamine or serotonin, that results in allergic reactions. So degranulation means nothing but the destruction of the mast cells and the release of the mediators. So anyway, when antigen enters the body, it causes the generalized mast cell degranulations. Generalized means almost all the mast cells are affected. That affects the whole body. That's why it's called systemic disease. Systemic means whole body. Then generalized means the whole actually mast cells, almost the host cells. So generalized disease also called by name systemic disease, and that is called anaphylaxis. So it is a sudden, severe, systemic, immediate hypersensitivity, that is type 1, occurring as a result of rapid generalized mast cell degranulation, destruction of mast cells because of the entry of antigens and the release of the chemical mediators like histamine and serotonin. So that's about anaphylaxis. With this we conclude hypersensitivity. Now we have to pass on to a few words about autoimmune disease. You know the 4 important properties of that is acquired or adaptive immunity. 1, specificity. Another one, diversity. The third one, that is distinction between self and non-self, and fourth one, memory. So the third property is not achieved by the immune system. We have the autoimmune disease. So this is because of the loss of ability, the failure of the immune system to differentiate self molecules, its own molecules, the body, and also non-self, the one which is coming from outside. That's the reason why we have autoimmune diseases. So autoimmunity is an abnormal immune response in which the immune system fails to properly to distinguish. You know that one properly distinguish self and non-self molecules. So that as a result, the antibodies produced by the body normally attacking their own tissues, attacking what is called the body tissues, its own body. So our body cells produce antibodies normally to fight against the opposite antigens, the foreign molecules coming from outside. But here the antibodies produced are attacking our own immune system. Hence, these antibodies are called autoantibodies. Antibodies produced by the body attacking the same body, attacking the immune system of the same body are called autoantibodies. And another one, what is called cytotoxic T cells. Both together attack one's own immune system and destroy the cells of the immune system. So, also destroy our own body tissues, mainly the other cell types. And that is why it's called autoimmune. So, if a state of disease results because of the destruction of what we call the immune cells by the cytotoxic T cells and also autoantibodies of the body, then we have autoimmune disease results. So, it is a state of disease. Suppose if a state of disease results, it is called autoimmune disease. So, anyway, autoantibodies attacking our own body cells, then called autoantibodies, along with the cytotoxic T cells, normally called as the killer cells. Both are involved in destroying the cells of the own body. Okay. So anyway, it is nothing but not yet directed immune response. It is a misdirected immune response. The immune response is there, but it is misdirected. Instead of attacking the foreign agents, attacking the body cells of its own. That's why it's called autoimmune disease. Now, what are the other aspects of autoimmune diseases? How can you know that you are attacked by autoimmune disease? Autoimmune disease is evidenced by the presence of two components, what I told you already, the autoantibodies and also the presence of cytotoxic cells. These two are highly reactive to the host cell antigen. So these are the two components which are developed during autoimmune disease, which are highly reactive to the same antigen. So the antigen of the host cell, not outsider. Now, what are antigens? I mentioned about autoantibodies. Now, what are autoantigens? When the cells act as antigen in the same body against the immune system, they are called autoantigens. They are nothing but the cells of the body acting as an antigen. They are not coming from outside. These antigens are stimulating the production of autoantibodies of the same body, and that antibody is reactive to the immune system. So these antigens are called autoantigens. When the cells act as an antigen of the same body, not from outside, they are called autoantigens. Now, what are the types of autoimmune diseases? We will now see. Autoimmune diseases are broadly classified in two categories. Number one, organ-specific autoimmune disease. And number two, non-organ-specific autoimmune disease. Now, in the case of organ-specific, the autoimmune activity is mostly directed towards one organ, for example, heart or kidney, or you have the glands, the thyroid gland or adrenal gland, etc. So, the autoantibodies may block the functions of that organ that results in a particular disease. So, one organ is suppressed, its activity is suppressed because of the activity of autoantibodies, not many organs, not the whole body is affected, one specific organ is affected. Say an example of Rheumatoid. Then Graves' disease. This is what is called hyperthyroidism, what is studied in 11th standard. Rheumatoid is actually because of the thyroid globulin. There we have the formation of antigen and antibodies resulting in a disease. So both are because of thyroid gland, one organ affected. Now Addison's disease, it is because of what is called the adrenal cortex affected. So as a rule, only one organ is affected because of the autoimmune activity. Now, in the case of non-organ specific autoimmune disease, it is called systemic. Normally, it is called systemic. Generally called systemic autoimmune disease. Here, the autoimmune process is spread widely throughout the body. Almost all the body parts are affected. For example, multiple sclerosis. Here, only one organ is affected. There, it is called systemic. So it's also called as localized because one particular organ is affected. This is called systemic, the meaning for the one spreading through the body. So we have multiple sclerosis. This is nothing but the hardening of what is called the axon of the nerve cells, thickening of what is called the axon coverings, the myelin sheath of the nerve cells. So some sort of actually failure in the conduction of nerve impulses. That is called multiple sclerosis related to sclerosis means hardening. hardening of the myelin sheath of the neuron. Then rheumatoid arthritis, you know that one, the membrane, the synovial membrane and the synovial lining all being affected. Particularly the connective tissues are affected. This is because of, you see that one, inflammation of the membrane, the synovial membrane, just covering the synovial cavity of the joints, and that is called rheumatoid arthritis. So not only just we have the joints are affected, but the whole body, including the connective tissues and muscles are affected. Hence it's an example for just organ specific. Many parts of the body are affected. So that's about the differences between what we have organ specific, non-organ specific. Okay, so that's all about what we have autoimmune diseases. One more there we have, that is called chamber immunology in the case of immunology part. I'll take it in the next class. Till then, goodbye. Thank you.